Welcome back. I hope you're doing great. As a part of this video, we'll understand data completeness validation. Again and again, as a part of this whole course, we are saying the data is moving from different sources to the staging area, and from there, data warehouse, from there, data mart, from there, reports. The data is moving. The data is extracted from the sources and moved to the staging area. Data is transformed from the staging area and loaded to the data warehouse, and the different data marts are created from the data warehouses. So when the data is extracted and loaded, transformed and loaded, do you think the whole of data is available in each of the stages? Maybe or may not be. So we need to validate, we need to test whether the data is complete or not when the data is moved from one stage to another stage, right? That is where data completeness comes into picture. The purpose of the data completeness is to verify that all the expected data is loaded into the target from the source completely. Look at this word completely. Multiple factors determine the completeness. We'll look at them in the subsequent slides. Some of the things are when the data is moved from one stage to another stage, source to target, we should not have any missing records. And also we should not have any missing values. In order to ensure there are no missing records and there are no missing values, we got to perform the data completeness validation. How do we do that? We have to perform some of the tests like record count, column data profiling, data duplication check, and the data validation, where in data validation, emphasis is on the values. We cover record count as a part of this video, while column data profiling, data duplication check, data validation, will cover that as a part of subsequent videos. Hey, have I heard a term called record? What is record? Record is a very simple thing, right? It consists of multiple values in a single row. Record is nothing but a row. Or we can also call the record as a tuple. Remember our RDBMS concepts. So how do I validate the record now? Again, remember the idea is the data has moved from one place to another place. Data is extracted from sources and loaded into the staging area. Data is transformed from the staging area and loaded into the data warehouse. So all the data is in tables, isn't it? And tables would have multiple records. As a part of the record count, what we will do is we'll compare the records in the source and target tables and validate the count. Assuming that we have a table S1 and table T1, the data has been moved from S1 to T1, source to target one. Assuming that we have 100 records here, and if there are no filtering of the records, all the 100 records need to be found in the table 1, that is target 1. We'll test that by a record count. But remember, a record count will not verify the values. We are just validating the number of records. But the emphasis here is not on the values. And also in record count, we are not bothered whether the data is in an ascending order or a descending order. I took an example in the earlier slide. Source 1 has 100 records and target 1 also has 100 records, provided there is no requirement to filter or reject the records. In case if your requirement specifies that your records need to be rejected based on a particular criteria, we need to consider that criteria, that requirement while validating the records. So only the invalid records should be filtered out and the valid records need to be loaded into the target table. While validating, you should validate in such a way that only the valid records need to be moved to the target. Then that record need to be compared with the source records after applying the transformation. For example, here, if you say all the customer records with no first and last name should be rejected or filtered out. Assume you have 100 records. Within that, 10 records do not have the first and last name. Now 90 records need to be loaded into the target table. Here 90, 90, we need to compare both of them, and a record count is matching. That ensures the data completeness according to the requirements. Awesome. We understood some of the important aspects of the data completeness with the record count. Thank you.